and he tried to connect, tried to hook up, tried to be friends with another girl online. So there was no physical cheating on her, but very publicly, very humiliatingly for Liz, what happened is he messaged another girl. This other girl reached out with the screenshots to Liz. This other girl kept saying, "Aren't you married?" He said, "No, we're not legally married. I'm just looking to have friends, etc." And this girl sent Liz all these messages, and Liz immediately published a statement that her man, her boyfriend, her husband cheated on her, and that she's also 4 months pregnant. So that's the summary of it. So if you know the wizard Liz, okay, number one point is she is a person who has deep trauma, right? This is not a one aspect person. What makes a person, the way their lives unfold, hasn't to do with just one thing. This is why you have to take an approach where you see everything very, very holistically in your own life, as much as when something happens to other people. So the deep trauma that somebody incurs cannot just be erased with a sponge, right? You got to understand, like I say in many of my lives, you can't really kill your demons. You can only learn to live above them. That's the idea. And that's what she's learned how to do. She's learned how to live above her demons. But this doesn't mean her demons aren't there, right? This doesn't mean, when people ask me, how can somebody with a good mindset manifest that somebody cheated on her? Well, listen, this is what she's observed her whole life. Like men cheating on women from where she's from including her own family, which she's talked about. All of this stuff that we observed, that we think is possible in the world, they form our paradigm. And even though we work to fight against them, like on a daily basis, it doesn't mean they're not there, okay? So somebody who has trauma versus somebody who doesn't have trauma will have very different starts in life. I know this is very unfair. And people look at this and say, it's so unfair. That means, yeah, because while you're working hard to heal your trauma and to just not have to deal with that on a daily basis, another person who was very loved or another person who never experienced poverty will not have the same sensations inside and therefore project the same energetic signature as you would. So having trauma versus not having trauma will affect our paradigm. Number two, the men knowing about the trauma, okay? I talk to a group of women that understand where I'm coming from when I say this. And it's never, ever to put women down. It's never, ever to inspire, oh, be dishonest. It's the fact that when you get with a man and he knows that you've been traumatized, there's something in his psyche that no longer sees you as the prize. Okay, I'm going to repeat that because I always advise women not to make men their best friends, not to make the man you're interested, the partner you're interested in, your therapist, to tell him every time you've been abused, every time you've been mistreated by your father, by your uncles, by your ex-boyfriends. Do not tell your partner this. In Liz's case, of course, this is completely impossible because she's already talked about this. And a lot of the takes that I've seen on her was the fact that he exploited this trauma that she had. He exploited knowing everything about her past in terms of his behavior. But I think it's deeper than that. It's not just an exploitation of it. It's the fact that on a subconscious level, she is the prize because of what she's become, what she's overcome. But he sees her, and any man who gets with a woman who has trauma will see her not as much as a prize as he would somebody with no trauma. I'm so pained to have to say this, but I only say this or talk about people in terms of what can my audience learn for themselves. And I think this is a very, very important lesson to take. Never tell your spouse everything about yourself, everything that you've been through. In order to remain the prize for him, if you want to be the prize for him, you have to hold back on what you share. Okay, so the fact that he really, I'm not sure, let's think about it in Liz's case, would he have dated her if she wasn't famous? If she was just a girl that he met who had trauma? just a beautiful girl he met who had trauma. Remember who he is. He comes from a stable family, white background, some money. He didn't grow up poor. He's been helped to start his business young, etc. Would he have dated her if she wasn't famous? That's the real question. And the answer is, I don't think so. The answer is, I don't think so. The fact that he knew who she was, he knew how to approach the whole situation, you gotta think of the spin on this. You gotta think. And what you can take for your own life is, don't tell men about your trauma. That's all I wanted you to take from this. The third point that I just already touched on, his background. He's not an ethnic guy. He's not an immigrant guy. He didn't have to move around from country to country looking for his place in the world. He's been supported. He comes from a background where even if he has trauma, it's a fraction of what she's been through. And that very stable background gives him a different level on how he perceives the world. So his confidence doesn't have to do with overcoming difficulties like what she had to do. His confidence, and he's even the absolute balls and audacity he had to reach out to this other woman, comes from the fact that there is so much stability in his world that he doesn't even think anything can go wrong, because he hasn't really experienced too many things going wrong in his own life. Get it? So that matters too. If you're from a background where you had to struggle against the world, and you get with somebody who didn't have to struggle against the world, the entitlement in the other person will be obvious as time goes on. Okay, these are sort of the nuances that I have about what's transpiring here, okay? The fourth point, the mistakes on her end, accelerating the relationship, okay? Posting him on her social media and saying that she's married when she wasn't actually legally married. So you guys understand, whatever religious ceremony she may have had for her to consider herself married, coming online and saying, I'm married when you're not married, it's giving desperate, right? It's giving desperate. You're not married until you're legally married. She's a girl of enough smarts and education to understand that. The paper needed to be signed before she could say she's married. So that's therefore, when he said in the message, I'm not married, it was just a factual thing. Not that gives him the right to reach out to another girl. That was just mega embarrassing for Liz, I think, in terms of her already stated, oh yeah, we got married shortly after we got engaged. I don't know why she needed to post him and do this big thing, and I disagree with that. If you have any kind of following, there's a lot of your personal life that you can't share for a long time. You know, and that maybe you shouldn't share at all. I think, you know, yeah, when you rush like that and you say, yeah, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't even be in a relationship, you're giving him so much clout that he hasn't earned yet. He hasn't earned. This is just a guy who treated you good for a few months. What has he done really to earn you to come online and say, yeah, we got married when you didn't get married? What has he done for you to get online and say, yeah, if it wasn't for him, I would have never gotten into a relationship? Like, he's God's gift to women. So it's sort of like she reversed that role very easily. And you could see how her old paradigm took over, right? Her old paradigm of the man is the prize, which is what she grew up observing. She talks about this, right? She talks about seeing her mom always prioritizing the man, her stepdad, whatever, over herself and maybe over her kids. And so Liz is doing the same thing. She's just not realizing this, right? So it switches. The moment you release the grip, what happens? The paradigm takes over. Remember this in your own life. And remember, I'm only talking about this so we can take something from this. Whatever you're used to observing, if you release the grip daily, if you don't do the work to observe yourself on a daily basis, you will default back to that. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. Okay? So don't accelerate relationships. Don't post, don't say, don't make him look like, oh my God, if it wasn't for him, if it wasn't, don't sing him praises publicly. Don't let time kind of pass and observe somebody through a long period of time before you publicly talk about him. This is also the problem with Liz being very authentic and not having what in Hollywood is called a handler, right? There's a reason why the celebrities have these handlers or these publicists, this PR people. There needs to be some toning down of, you know, this is my life, this is how I feel, this is how excited I am, and what is presented to the world. Let's see what you guys are saying here. It's lack of self-worth, but also wanting him to feel good because she knew she was better. Yeah, I don't know. Why would he need to feel so important and so good? I don't know. Feeling good, that's the other thing. It's like, if I have a platform of millions of people, I got to give a piece of that to my spouse for him to feel good, or should I be enough for him to feel good? Let's think about this. If I'm already getting with a guy and I have to work on his self-worth to make him feel good, to give him a piece of what I've earned without him in the first year of being together, that's a problem. Sandra says she made him the center. Most women in Western culture make men centered. I wouldn't say that's just a Western culture problem. But yeah, but I want you guys to see the defaulting back to what she was raised with. So all that work that she did in 5 years, 6 years, since she started working on herself seriously, all that work she put online, that work, because it wasn't ingrained in her from when she was small. It wasn't the world she grew up in, right? She grew up in the opposite world. What happened is, the moment she let her emotion take over, the moment something changed drastically, like she fell in love and she let go, her program defaulted on, how can I make this man feel good? How can I give him a piece of what I've earned without him? How can I make him the center? How can I make it subconsciously, right? So be careful that doesn't happen to you. The same has happened with Halle Berry. She's praising the man too much. Yeah, remember this for your own life. You don't have to make the man feel good, feel worthy. If you're starting with a guy, you got to make him feel worthy. Now you got to do the work on yourself and the work on him. And you got to tone yourself down, right? You got to tone down your voice and who you are, because maybe you're too good for him, right? Too good for him. Pick Misha behavior. Shira 7. How can we keep believing there are loyal men out there, says Ilaria, when things like this are happening? Biggest mistake ever. So I want you to listen to this whole perspective that I'm giving, because it is very, very important that you understand the unraveling of this specific situation when things like this happen. Listen, somebody can cheat on anybody, right? It has nothing to do with beauty. It has nothing to do with smarts. Beautiful supermodels get cheated on, actresses, as well as Nobel Prize winning women, scientists, physicists. Like, one has nothing to do with the other. And by the way, women cheat too. Being cheated on is not sort of what the takeaway is. It's how you handle and why you got to that point in terms of partner selection, and also in terms of how you handle yourself. So my question back to you is, would he have done this if she kept going in the same direction as when he first fell in love with her? Which he obviously didn't, because I'm explaining to you how he didn't, how she didn't. How she all of a sudden switched from her being the center and the focus and making him the center of the focus. Okay, Q&A with my husband before he signed the papers, guys. How? I have 8 million followers. How I'm going to put a guy here and say Q&A with my husband when he hasn't actually married me? That's not okay, right? In fact, if I were her, I would come online and be like, guys, I met a guy. You won't believe the story. I manifested him. Everything's incredible. Let me touch back here in 6 months and tell you how he's doing, you know? Because obviously I'm showing you guys how we're assessing men. Let me come back in 6 months. In 6 months, he proposed. Okay, we're going to be engaged for a year. We're going to see how he's doing. Let me show you his face during our wedding day. Or something like that. You understand? When you're a public figure, when you have that many followers, when women are looking up to you for a certain behavior, the behavior is attracting a man, you can do that with manifestation. You can put in your mind and you're going to meet some incredible people. Maintaining that over time has to do with your vibration, has to do with your vibration and his vibration changing in response to your own vibration. If you go from that mega confident person to it's all about me, I'm assessing, I'm going to be out at the to being like, hey, here's my husband who hasn't married me and Q&A and he's so cute and look what he's doing for me, and if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be in a relationship. What? If it wasn't for him, I would find another one. If it wasn't for him, I would wait until I find somebody who treats me just as good, and I would assess the same kind of way. What do you mean? How can you say publicly if it wasn't for him, I would never be in a relationship when you're 25 years old? Obviously, you have plenty of time to meet a lot of men. Why are you giving him so much power to begin with? This is what increased, overinflated his confidence. I would come online knowing that he's watching and be like, guys, I'm at the 6-month mark. Let's think about this. He's done this and this and that. What do you guys think? You know, should I continue? Let him think. Maybe you'll continue, maybe you won't continue. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, the approach is different. A person's cheating, okay? You're right. He can cheat no matter what you do, but it's much more likely that he will get bored with the pick me show attitude than the attitude that, oh my God, I am the one she's found and there's no one like me. Why? Because she said it to 8 million people. Right? Let's see what you're saying. I think that he felt that way, that's why she cheated. Probably because he told her he felt like he wasn't enough for her. Let's be serious. Let's be serious. Let me tell you something. He reached out to another girl not because, let's not feel sorry for him, it's not because he didn't feel good enough for her. He reached out very likely to the other girl because you see what happens when you are somebody people look up to. Like, let's say Liz, Angelina Jolie, whoever. Somebody mega beautiful, mega confident, knows what she's talking about. A man will fall in love with that image, right? He was her fan first. He knew her from the internet. So what happens now when you get together with that person is not that in the day-to-day life. In the day-to-day life, they have flaws. Their makeup isn't always perfect. They don't always smell great. You see sometimes they're not as smart as you. You see the real person, right? And in the end, it's like, it's not the Angelina Jolie I saw in a movie. This is, you know, when you're living with someone, that kind of magic disappears. This is just a person just like you, with flaws and everything. So I think what has happened is he looked at her and be like, oh, it's not, you know, like, she's not enough. She's not enough. She's not, who knows, maybe her conversations aren't interesting enough. It's interesting enough when she talks about confidence. But can she talk about whatever he needs to talk about? I don't know what he talks about. I didn't bother watching him. I think he's a crypto guy. Can she talk about business? Can she talk about conspiracy theories? Can she talk about, who knows, astrology, whatever he's into? Can she talk about the stuff he reads, right? So you're saying, oh, poor guy, he didn't feel good enough for her. Maybe it's completely reversed. Maybe it's like he looked at her like she was the brightest star in the sky. But when he got with her, she was a girl who comes from trauma, who's trying to deal with every day just like the rest of us. She puts her pants on the same way as all of us. And in the end, beauty doesn't mean anything. I told you guys. I mean, I don't have to tell you. That's why all the supermodels get cheated on too. He feels like he is the prize. Yeah. And so this is what I'm saying. I don't see someone like Liz being able to be with somebody her own age. I think, to me, this is a mistake to begin with, to even consider somebody in that age range. Like, if she's 25, 26, she can't date 25, 26, 27, 28. She can't date that. I think she can only date over 30, in my opinion, based on her maturity level and based on a guy who's 26 will be enamored of her image. He doesn't have enough maturity to be a husband, to be what she's talking about when she's saying, these are my boundaries, these are these. I don't think in general you can get that from a 26-year-old man. What do you guys think? Not these days. Maybe in 1940, yeah, because those guys would have gone to war already and came back and be men. But I just don't see it. I don't see it at all. All right, so accelerating the relationship, posting him on social media. Okay. Number 5, what I put here is the type of cheating. He needs more than her. He's young and not ready for her. And he might feel lonely in the relationship. He might feel lonely in the relationship, right? They didn't even live together. From my understanding, he was in the States. She was going to move. He needs to fill his time. This all has to do with lack of maturity, with lack of activity. He's not busy enough, right? His business doesn't require him enough. He's just a 27, around there, right? 27, 28-year-old man who needs to be entertained. That's what they are at that age. They're not what she's looking for. Remember, don't mistake chemistry and a guy opening the door for you with long-term compatibility. Don't mistake that. And if you're a very mature 25, 26, 27-year-old woman, you cannot date your age. There's no way. No way. It's not going to end up good. All right. Number 6, I put here his apology. Okay, his initial apology, if you guys watch the story, pathetic. Okay, pathetic. He came on the internet in a hoodie, sitting kind of like this, being like, yeah, guys, I made a mistake. Like, he looked totally as a guy in university talking to his buddies about, I don't know, some soccer game or something. Instead of saying, guys, or the only person that matters in the story is Liz, she's the love of my life, and honestly, I can't live without her. Okay, that's all he should have said. Instead of that, he's like, hey guys, I made a mistake. Like, people make mistakes. I hope she can forgive me. It's a good thing that happened to me, the best thing that happened to me so far. You can see the lack of maturity there compared to her maturity level, right? So that's what I'm saying. To even believe a 26, 27-year-old man has the maturity to be with you, it's crazy, right? He wears hoodies online to talk about cheating on you. Like, you can't do it that way. You can't. It's just comical, right? Number 7, her baby. Guys, I was very, very disappointed to see that the first reaction of other women in this story was not, congratulations on your baby, Liz, right? It was all about the cheating and everyone's cheating. And obviously, a woman who's 4 months pregnant wants that baby, or she wouldn't be 4 months pregnant. Right? She would like, between the time she finds out and 3 months, she wouldn't be pregnant if she didn't want the baby, or if it was too soon for her. Obviously, this is her baby. It's not like, oh, you made a mistake, take your baby and get out of here. You know, it doesn't work this way with a woman unless, you know, she doesn't have the means. But with a woman of maturity and means, if she's 4 months pregnant, she wants that baby. And I would have been highly disappointed to see in this circumstance anything other than this. And Liz is that woman, and she's like, my baby, my biggest blessing. Of course, it's her baby. Can't be like more his baby. It's her baby. And she's gonna be a fantastic mom. You know, she's not gonna make any of the mistakes that, you know, her mom made or whatever she grew up seeing, and she's gonna be fantastic. So, you know, the blessings to her and the baby. Number 8, my questions that I got, how can someone like her attract that type? Guys, we attract who we are, not who we say we are. And like I said about the vibration that you gain from understanding your paradigms, when you understand you have these paradigms, but they're not your own. You got them from other people. You understand that? What happens is you can change your vibration. But if you don't monitor that state of vibration, you'll default back to the paradigms, because that's your main program. So if you've seen your mom loved by your dad, it will be a totally different effort on a daily basis, less effort to maintain a vibration of being loved than it would be for somebody with childhood trauma. This just is the reality of it. If you take anything from manifestation, oh, you don't have to believe reality. Understand the reality of who you are and what is possible for you personally based on what's in there that you need to overcome, and understand that overcoming is a daily task. It's not a one and done. It's not like, hey guys, I used to be a pygmisha, but now I'm mega confident. No, no, no. The pygmisha will come out. It will come. You'll see it. If you're honest with yourself, you will see it coming out in various different circumstances. But if you're in awareness, you'll be like, oh, this is that part of me. This is what I observed. This is what happened. And this is why. This is why I'm feeling this way. Or this is why I'm feeling rejected. Or this is why, I raised my voice, but it's not, I need to adjust this now. Do you understand what I'm saying? Second of all, when you're saying something like, how can someone like her or someone like this person who's happy attract something negative? I want you to remember, you never really know from observing someone what's going on inside their heart and their mind. This is why the majority of people who end their lives, okay, people around them are very surprised. They never expected it. This person was so happy. This person was, I don't understand it. It's because we never really know. We just perceived, we construct an image. If I give you the name of anybody we all know in common, okay, like Liz, Trump, Putin, whatever, you have an image of them in their head. So you're thinking that's who they are. That includes your best friend. You're thinking you know them really, really well, but you don't. So what's going on inside somebody's heart and mind when you said, if this can even happen to Liz, wait a second, maybe it can happen to Liz every single time, because the paradigm that comes up when Liz is in love, it's that trauma. But it doesn't have to happen to you, even if you don't look half as good as Liz, even if you're twice as old as Liz, it doesn't have to happen to you. So don't compare it that way. Don't think that you know exactly who this person is just by observing them. You don't. You have no idea how they're vibrating on a day-to-day life. This is why I'm saying, he thinking I'm getting with the wizard Liz is different than living with the person herself on a day-to-day basis. It's very different. Those are two different people. Why is everybody so quiet? We talked about how she cannot be with someone like her cannot be with somebody her own age. Unless that person unless that person is very rooted in family stability or in a religion or in some value system that has to do with forming a family. Otherwise, I just don't see any 26, 27, 28-year-old man being able to be a husband of a mature woman of the same age. I don't see it. And especially not a guy who grew up in privilege, who didn't have to work so hard. It's just, I just don't see it. I don't think, what age range do you think Liz should date when she's ready to date again? I'm just curious what you guys think. Who would be an ideal partner? What kind of guy would he need to be? See, I don't even think it can be a guy that's watching her content. She needs a stable man, 40. Yeah, but what's a stable man? What's a stable man, right? So again, it can't be somebody who's very, very familiar with what she's gone through. What you guys, 35 minimum, I would say. What you guys need to take from this, don't tell men your trauma. She doesn't have that option because it's out there for everybody to see, and it serves its role in the world. She's helped a lot of people, but it doesn't serve her well on her personal life. It doesn't serve her well that she's out there having talked about all of these things in her own personal life with men, in my opinion. Yeah, men with no social media. That's in general for all of us, right? Hi, Hudson. Come say hi. Come. You're so pretty. I'm going to display you all the time because you will never leave me. Okay, this one. Just looked him up, and one glance at him, first word that came to me was no. Yeah, no. She's made some capital mistakes in this relationship, which I hope she doesn't repeat in the future. She won't repeat in the future as she'll be a mom when she's dating in the future. So I think she's learned a lot from this. You know, honestly, I think she completely mishandled her reaction to this. And what I told you guys, this was very reactive person, and you can see from the reaction time that the traumas when this happened went over here, went from being repressed to over here, right? Because I think even me, okay, who's like, I am like, whatever, I'm nobody. But I think, you know, you guys know I'm remarried, I manifested my husband, I manifested this life. If I found out he cheated on me, I think I would definitely not come and post content like what she said, what he did, and I would take the time for the reaction. Okay, this is something you got to live personally. I would come in a week and say, hey guys, you know, I have something to tell you. This thing seemed like a good thing, didn't work out. Crazy thing, I found out he's cheating on me. I'm trying to process this. Anyways, I'll get rid of him for sure, but I need to, right now, I need to understand certain things about myself, about the relationship, about where my analysis could have gone better, etc. Right? This has to do with self-control. I definitely wouldn't be like, part of her messages were weird because she was like, I wish this girl so many blessings, and this is like the day after it happened. It's just really that right now you're processing your own thing. You don't have the time to wish her blessings because she sent you this message, and like it's just too much. It's too much. Yeah, and it shouldn't take so much self-control. The problem is it's too reactive, too reactive. You know, even this thing with the ring. I'm gonna sell the ring, and I'm gonna sell, and then she can't even sell it. You know, because the guy put a stop on it, and she can't. It's just like, don't say things until it's done. Hey guys, I sold my ring. Just wanted to let you guys know. I split the money this way. If you need to, right? Maybe being who she is, she needs to. But don't say it before. I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do this, and I'm never gonna love again, and I'm not. Don't make any of these big statements. You know, too much reaction. So if you guys are familiar with my content, you know I'm all about non-reaction to 3D. You need time to process. You need time to absorb it. You need time before you make a statement. You need time. This is why Hollywood has PR handlers. You need that time. Your image is important for the future, especially when you serve as an inspiration to other people. She became more outer directed than inner directed, somebody says. Yeah, 100% Sandra. Undue burden to explain. Yeah, even the thing like, oh, I just want to clarify we're all single. It's like, you don't have to clarify anything. What are some green flags? Green flags is consistency over a long period of time, and that person putting your needs before their own needs over a period of time, over a consistent period of time. Another green flag for me is generosity towards others. Anyway, is he generous with his time? Is he generous with his words? Is he generous with his money towards people that don't have any benefit to him? Not just when he's trying to impress someone. What he does for others is important. How he understands the world, for sure. You gotta look at who they are and try to perceive the world from their perspective. So for example, if you're an immigrant, your parents have gone through so much, if you switch 3 countries, if you had to start all over again and had to observe that, and you get with somebody who doesn't even understand that because they've always had everything, even if they're middle class, not even for money. But they don't know, they could never understand that piece of you. Okay, this has to be clear to you. When you get with somebody, is that important to you that they fully understand you, or are you getting married for different reasons? There's nothing wrong with getting married for different reasons. If you're saying marriage is a contract, I want to have a family, I want to raise them in a stable home, this guy, you know, he has good values, he has this, but there's a part of you that you don't even need to begin to say. He's not going to understand what your parents went through, the torture and war and other things, not having money to buy bread, standing in line to buy food. Somebody who doesn't have that background would not understand. It's very, very important to know within yourself, why is it you want to get married? Why is it that you want a life partner? What is the purpose of it? If you're just looking for somebody who understands you, it's not going to be a man. It's not going to be, then you have to keep him as a friend. He's not going to see you as the prize when all you want is somebody who understands your trauma, that you can share your trauma with. That's your therapist, that's your group of women, that's just not the man. And I will stand by this forever because I see it. Like, I see it later in life how it played out for other women when they try to make their men into that. You guys with me here or what? Move in silence. What's going on here? What do you guys think about that? See, for somebody to treat you like a princess, they have to have this perception that everybody has treated you like a princess in the past. There's no reason for a guy to treat you like a princess if he knows that everybody else walked all over you. That's the truth. It's a very painful truth. And he might treat you like a princess at first because, you know, he wants to get with you. But it's not going to be long term because something in the back of his mind was like, oh, she was with this guy for 2 years who used to beat her and she had to pay half her rent and stuff like this. And here I am doing everything for her. Like, for what? Doesn't make any sense. She would accept way less. And then slowly, he's going to start to give slowly. Now we know it's more dramatic because it's social media and you get the messages and whatever. Before, it was the same thing, only you didn't know. It took you years to find out. Or they started treating you badly one little step at a time. Danique says, I learned the hard way, Mona. Men are not here for emotional support. Never. Never. They're not here for emotional support. Not if you want to be... This is what I'm saying. You got to understand why you want a partner. You got to understand why. Why you want a man or a boyfriend or a husband, or what is the reason? Is it really for emotional support, or is it because you want to form a family? What kind of father do you want to your children? How do you want to be treated? How do you want to be seen? Do you just need somebody to talk to? Is it just because you're lonely? It has to be very intentional, exactly. You teach people how to treat you, exactly, Sandra. Yeah. And I don't know what the future will bring in the immediate term for Liz, you know, but I think she will understand and very easily, like 10 years, sorry, guys, please don't call me. I don't take calls during my life. In 10 years from now, if we're still going to be here and God willing, and we're still going to watch these things and talk about these things, you know, I bet you she will look back and be like, guys, I can't believe it when I done this video and I said if it wasn't for, what's his name, I wouldn't be in a relationship. I really didn't know what love was, but I know now because I met X and Y and Z and I have a happy family and whatever. That's how you kind of know if, you know, just looking backwards. It's never looking at it in that second and being like, yeah, that's the only person for me. Hang on a second, it hasn't been long enough. I don't think her pregnancy is a mistake. So I know I've seen a lot of people say that. I don't think it's a mistake. It just, you know, it's either something that she wanted or something that happened and made her happy and she decided to keep it. And that makes it not a mistake. So she has the means. She's going to be a great mom, I think. And I don't think she's going to be single for a long time. Do you never bring up your traumas in the relationship, even when you've been together for years? What would be the point? If you didn't bring it up in the beginning, what would be the point to bring it up later? Because Chichi, what I want you to understand is that when a person gets with you, they look at you a certain way, right? They perceive you a certain way. The same way you perceive Wizard Liz or Angelina Jolie or whatever. But if every day they're learning something about you that's really a damaged part of you, that they don't really know if you overcame or not, then you're automatically putting them in a position like you're chipping away at yourself in a sense, right? Like, I'm not saying you can't tell them, oh, you know, I want to tell you something. We're 65 years old, we've been married for 40 years, and I got to tell you that, you know, let's say my father abused me. Okay, maybe at that point doesn't matter anymore. But the thing is, this person did not need that burden after years and years when he thought X and Y and Z of you. So I kind of want to understand what would be the point to put this on a person after years and years. Or if you start bringing up trauma every 2-3 months, he'd be like, hold on a second. Now she's digging. How much further? Maybe this is just the tip of the iceberg. If she's telling me after 6 months this, after a year this, after 2 years this, who knows what else is under there? What is tomorrow? She's going to come and tell me who knows what, that I know for a fact I can't be with her because of that, or I'll think much less of her. Remember, the other person cannot control how they see you. They can't. Nobody can control how they see you. They will see you based on how you behave and what they know about you. And it's very possible something will come up. We know this from our relationship with men. When you're just done with him, you can't touch him anymore, right? You know you have to break up with him, even though 2 years ago you were super in love with him, because you lost all respect for him. You just don't see him the same way anymore. And it's the same idea with them, right? Maybe there will be a point where what you start to reveal, he won't see you the same way. So you gotta really think, am I looking for a best friend, for a therapist? Is it because I'm lonely I'm with this guy? Do I need to unload my everyday on him? Do I need to tell him how my boss treats me like shit every single day, or what X and Y and Z and all the betrayals I've had, how every boyfriend has cheated on me? You know, I want to get my nails done before my vacation. And I don't get into these conversations with people, like just random people that I meet. But, you know, the girl who was doing my nails, she was really sweet and stuff. And I don't give unsolicited advice like that. But she was saying, yeah, I'm seeing this guy. And she's like, I have 4 kids. And, you know, I met this guy, he seems nice. But, you know, I've met so many other guys that seem nice and blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, you know, you got to assess. You got to, at high level, I was talking to her. And then she's like, yeah, you know, and I told him, he said, I want to take you here and there. And I said, well, we'll see. Because many people promised me that they'll do that and nobody came through and everyone was a disappointment. And like, I'm screaming inside my head. I'm like, oh my God, why did you tell him that? Why did you tell him that? You know, but I didn't want to, like, I didn't feel like it was my place to say that. But guys, never ever tell a guy who's interested in you that all you had is empty promises and nobody came through for you. Why the heck would this guy give you princess treatment when he knows you've never gotten that? When he knows like that wasn't your standard in the past? Because believe me, if it's your standard, you're either single forever until you find it or you've had it in the past. How can you say to a guy who's saying like, I'll take you to this, you know, like 2 weekends away at the cottage. And you're saying, yeah, I had like 3 other guys promise me, but they canceled me last minute. Why would you tell him that? Why would you tell him that that's your experience with men? That men change their mind about you? It doesn't make any sense to me. Somebody says, Vani, why share traumatic experiences with no intention to heal? Partners judge easily now. Yeah, but they can't help but judge. You see, because the brain is formed to, it operates by making assumptions and deducing something from a situation. That's how the brain works, right? So this is why even people, when they ask you, where are you from? First question, where are you from? It's the brain trying to place the other person into a category. They need to understand something about you without putting in the effort to get to know you or anything, right? Where are you from? It's going to tell me. It's going to tell me something very important about you based on my current assumptions of the people from that country or that region or that religion. So I'm going to categorize you. It's the same thing when you say 20 guys promised to take me on a weekend away and nobody came through. Oh. So Maybe I don't have to do that for her. Let's see. I am insecure about my husband helping me with caring for my mother as a factor of devaluation. I'm not understanding how you mean. That has nothing to do with your womanhood. Hopefully you married a person who's mature enough to understand that all parents will age eventually, and we don't know how much care we need to provide for them as they age. It's just a reality of the system keeping people alive for a very long time now without increasing the quality of their lives, right? They keep them alive with meds. They have no quality of life. They forget who you are. They forget they can't walk. They can't move. They have diapers. It's really humiliating, in my opinion. Like, if, knock on wood, but I want to say if I'm of sane mind, I would just stop taking my meds when I'm 90 and I need a diaper. I just see no point, for me personally. I don't know what people should do. Because that's what keeps you alive, right? That's a totally different discussion. How to overcome superstitions? Again, the question doesn't have context. We all grew up with certain superstitions, you know? I think we all have certain things, like if it's not the black cat crossing the road, you can reason yourself out of all the superstitions that you grew up with, right? Like, I love cats. A black cat is just a cat. It has nothing to do with anything. What other superstitions are there? I can't even, I think I just deprogrammed all of it. Things mean what you want them to mean. But yeah, there is a meaning that's associated to it based on your programming. The most important thing, guys, is understanding what your personal programming is. Because you want to create A, B, C, and D, but it just depends what's in there already. For me to create A, B, C, and D is different than for you to create A, B, C, and D. It might be easier for you, it might be harder for you. I had a testimonial I wanted to read from this queen. I didn't get a chance to respond to her. She wrote to me when I was away. But I read some testimonials if there's a lesson in it. And she says, hello Mona, I felt it was time to give you an update. I'm nearing the end of the 60-day challenge, and when I look back, I can't believe how much has shifted. I've had deep breakthroughs in my meditations and a new clarity that solidified my sense of purpose. Your lives have guided me so much, and every time I've turned in and done my practices, things have moved quickly. The overall quality of my life and inner peace has increased so much. I can't fully express how grateful I am for this work. Work-wise, I started feeling like I had outgrown my current role. When I told my bosses, they tried to make me stay, which was validating, but none of the offers felt aligned, so I declined without even having a backup plan. I'll be transitioning out of this role in the summer, and then just as I started looking around, I found a job listed for my dream role posted a day earlier. I applied and let it go, and I fully believe that it's already mine. I've also experienced beautiful manifestations. I've put things in my calendar that weren't planned, like a sold-out concert I wanted to go to, and somehow they all worked out without effort. Money has also shifted. I used to worry whether I had enough. Now I've automated my bills, stayed within my means, and stopped focusing on lack. I feel so much more at ease and secure. One of the most surprising things has been the shift in my body. I used to work out a lot and be overly aware of how I looked. Now I'm more intuitive and eat freely, and my body is naturally toning into the shape I wanted. It's made me see how responsive the body is when we connect with our subconscious. And the most important one, my love life. This is where I probably grown the most. I manifested love fast, and it's also where I've been most challenged. I keep seeing the guy I mentioned earlier. He reached out again, we reconnected and kept going. But now I realize I was viewing him through the lens of my manifestation, like an object or a symbol instead of a person. Hold on, let me connect here with this live. Instead of a person, where was I? I had this identity of the one who knows. I knew what I wanted, where I was heading, but that made it hard to connect with honesty. I was so focused on what I needed and I didn't really see him. He actually did respond to the things I expressed, but I kept analyzing the speed of his change, deciding if it was enough. I wanted to be met, but I wasn't willing to meet him. Eventually, I told him this wasn't right for me. He didn't agree. But right after that, I got sick. Not badly, just a stuffed nose. But I know my body speaks to me. And for me, a blocked nose signals a stuck emotion. Without the noise of trying to control my career path, I suddenly saw the relationship differently. I remembered every time he tried to reach out and how I had shut him down. It was shocking to see how I acted, like watching the same scenes but with new eyes. It humbled me. I realized how prideful I've been. I saw how I had expected the world to change for me through my manifestations, when really I was the one who needed to change. That caused an identity shift. Admitting I was wrong was hard. Reaching out to him was even harder. But I did, and a close friend reminded me that many people never reach that kind of insight and become stuck in an ego loop. I refuse to let that be me. So that's where I am. Thank you for everything. I think there's so much in these testimonials that I get, and I'm telling you, what I appreciate is seeing the growth in people. People have the potential to be so different and have such a different life experience even in the same circumstances. Because remember, circumstances don't change right away. Circumstances take some time to change. But when inside you live differently and you have a different perspective on what's happening, you're not interpreting it through the same paradigms, life feels completely different. The same man, you can look at him and see him completely different. Sometimes you see all this horrible behavior you've been putting up with. Sometimes you see, hey, this guy has always gone the extra mile for me. What is it in me that didn't allow me? Is it pride? Is it ego? Is it my trauma? Is it this facade that I feel that I have to put in relationships to be valued? What is it in me that doesn't allow me to respond, to relax, to be with him on that level? So you start asking yourself questions, that you make observations, you make correlations that you haven't made before. Oh, why do I work out? I work out because I work out and I need to watch what I eat, as opposed to I intuitively follow my body. Just listen to your body. Like if right now somebody asks me, oh, do you want to eat this? I could eat it, but am I hungry? I'm not hungry. And if I'm to listen to my body, I shouldn't have a drink right now because it's not something my body craves. It's living from a completely different perspective as a holistic individual. Mari says the questionnaire I bought from you with those questions have been very helpful. I'm glad to hear that. That it's a lot of self-observation over a long period of time that you have to do. It's not just deciding to be confident. It's not just deciding to react differently to A, B, and C. You're not going to be able to sustain that without understanding what's inside, what's underneath. Look at Wizard Liz. Look at Wizard Liz. Look what happened to her. And again, this happened to her because in not a long amount of time, she switched from putting herself as the prize to being like, this guy, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be in a relationship. He's the prize. This guy, my husband, Q&A with my husband, he hasn't signed the paper. He hasn't signed. He doesn't get to be called my husband in front of 8 million people, right? He doesn't get to be called everything I've ever wanted before I even gone through my first pregnancy with him, to see how he reacts, to see if he massages my feet when I'm tired. Like, you haven't had those experiences yet. You can't make him this glowing star for no reason. And in your own life, it's the same thing. Even you're not famous, you're not talking to other people, it doesn't matter. Do not give a stranger or a boyfriend that much clout. You guys understand what I'm trying to say? It's antithetical to you being the prize or to putting yourself first. Was there anything else you guys wanted to talk about? I made some notes here for you. Oh, somebody asked me about subliminals in our group. Like, do they work? Some people swear by them. Other people say, I've done subliminals for 5 years, nothing's changed in that regards. I want to tell you that, first of all, you should try everything that you think might work for you. But the problem to me with subliminals or robotic affirmation or things like this where you don't actually put in the work is, the question is, for how long are you prepared to do that before you see results? So before you start all this, ask yourself, for how long am I committing to doing this if I don't get my result? Is it going to be a week? Is it going to be a month? Is it going to be a year every single day? So the oddest conversation I've ever heard is with somebody that said to me, I'm contacting you because I've been doing robotic affirmations for 17 months and nothing's changed. I said, okay, how often do you do them? Like how it's, she said, I do them every day for 4 to 5 hours a day. And I couldn't even begin to answer that. Like I couldn't begin to answer like how you would dedicate 4 hours a day. Like my life would be so precious for 17 months to doing a robotic affirmation. Like how much, you see, you have to decide this up front. If you're saying I'm doing this for 2 weeks and if I don't see movement, I give up. But it's like digging for gold, right? You don't know when you're gonna find it. You might sell the mine and then the next guy might come and in 2 days he might strike gold because you had this much more to go. But you don't know that. Maybe there's no gold there to begin with. So this, for me, I have no problem with people listening to me trying everything. But there's nothing that's a substitute to working on yourself the way I present this work on a daily basis. Your affirmation video has been more useful than affirmations. I heard that before. I'm going to revisit that myself, actually. I was inspired. This is not something that, oh, what can I put in here? They just came to me. I was like, I didn't even think, oh, this money, career. I don't know how many loved ones, career ones I have. It's sort of like teaching your brain to ask, why are things working out for me? It's free on YouTube if you guys want to watch it. What traumas should I share? I'm staying a bit longer on this live just in case there are questions because I have been away and not really present. What traumas should I share? With who? With your spouse? With the man that you're dating? With who? So in your initial period of dating, your boundaries should be super high. First of all, you got to know what they are. A lot of women don't. A lot of women, when they date, they don't know what their boundaries are. So when are you prepared to walk away from this person in the initial phase of dating? So let's say that first month. Hopefully you don't sleep with them in the first month. That would be my advice. The first month, you're dating them. What are your boundaries? When are you going to walk away? If they do what, you're going to walk away. Right? This has to be very, very defined. Then you got to go to step 2. Okay, if I'm going to get in a relationship with this person or if I'm going to sleep with this person, how will my expectations increase? Right now, you don't have time to share the traumas, you see, because right now you are seeing if this person is meeting your expectations and stay within your boundaries. So this question can't occur to you when you're dating. What traumas you should share. Then the question should occur to you if you feel like telling him something. Why do I need to tell him this thing? Why do I need to tell him this? Why do I need to tell him this trauma? I haven't had anyone to talk to about why do I need to tell him this? Why do I need to tell him this guy cheated on me and now I have this trauma? I would see no reason why you tell somebody that somebody else cheated on you. Didn't work out. Unless, they know them and they know it happened. It just didn't work out. I don't know. He had a wandering eye. I don't know. Had reason to suspect. Nothing like he didn't want me anymore and he wanted somebody else. Nothing like that. Nothing like that. Guys, you got to present yourself as you're the prize if you want to be the prize. I'm talking to women who want to be the prize. It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter what you look like. As you can see, the most beautiful women get cheated on because they start with their trauma. And the thing is, people, you know, I hear people say about Liz, oh yeah, but she did exactly what she said she would do. She left him when he cheated, and okay, I understand that. But she can't do this 5 times. You guys understand that? She can't have 5 more relationships where she enforces her own advice and leaves them when they cheat. She can't have that. Like this, if this happens to her 2 years from now again, and if it happens to her 5 years from now again, she's done. She's done for, right? Like people won't look at her the same way. Like it's just not. Everybody cheats on Liz. Is obviously something wrong. Is something going on. So just because you're enforcing a boundary doesn't mean you have to get there. Doesn't mean like the aim should be like it's okay if this happens because you know I will just impose my boundaries. You can't do this over and over again and be okay. My husband left me after getting the green card. What should I tell the guys I'm dating? None of the story. Why do you need to tell them that? I met a guy in Cuba. Yeah, if you need to tell them that you were married, but you don't need to tell them like in the first, definitely don't need to tell them. Yeah, by the way, I have something to tell you if the relationship gets serious. I was actually, my legal status is divorced, go figure. I fell in love with somebody in Cuba and, you know, they couldn't really adjust to life here. So it's just like, it didn't work out. Like, you know, sometimes you trust chemistry, but I didn't make a good decision at the time and it just wasn't, he wasn't what I wanted out of a relationship. So it just didn't work out. He wasn't what I wanted out of a relationship. Not he left me after he got his green card. Don't introduce yourself through the eyes of someone else's value of you. That sounds correct. I'm not sure to which part of what I said that would apply. But that's the idea. The way you present a situation is never with you as the victim in the center. Things don't work out for... Everybody has something that didn't work out for them. The way you present it, the way you talk about it. Never talk badly about your ex, no matter what they've done, because they're a reflection of your selection process. Remember that. That's what it is, unfortunately. Very few people turn psychopathic after you marry them, you know, very few. There are a few, but very few. The majority you can tell it's not going to be a good marriage because they didn't treat you well as a girlfriend. They didn't treasure you to begin with. They didn't do things for you right. You put up with a lot of shit in the relationship. And then, of course, it got worse after you got married. So when you start saying, my ex was abusive and this and that, the person is going to draw a conclusion, not just about your ex. They're going to draw a conclusion about you. Right? You don't owe anybody any information about yourself. You don't owe anybody. No matter if they want to marry you or whatever, you don't owe them anything. Okay. I think I gotta let you guys go because now it's getting noisy. Somebody's doing some work on the yard. I will be back for my group tomorrow, guys. I have about 14 personal questions to go through in our group coaching, and I'm gonna do that tomorrow. The time scheduled in the group. Okay. I'll see you guys Monday, my next public live. Bye. Take care.